Welcome to Digital Conservative, where we fight the liberal lies one day at a time. Today we will be taking a look at 6 reasons why Obama was a failure as a president. Number 6, record number of people now on food stamps. According to the Department of Agriculture, Food and Nutrition Services site, when Obama came into office, the number of people on food stamps was at 26 million. In 2013, that number reached an astonishing 47 million, and Obama ended his presidency with 41 million on food stamps. Democrats are always saying they're the voice of the people, and some Democrats may praise this number, saying that the government has assisted 47 million people. The real measure of a strong economy is when people can afford their own food and necessities and not have to rely on the government for basic living expenses. Give a man a fish, he eats for a day. Teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. That principle is lost on most liberals who only want to see the government take care of everything for everybody. Number 5. Racial tensions are at an all-time high. President Obama, while he was campaigning, touted himself as a great uniter, someone that all can look up to for hope and change. The only hope he gave to Americans was making them feel like they're victims and need government assistance to fix the wrongs of society. He gave legitimacy to groups like Black Lives Matter, while at the same time showing the utter contempt for our policemen and women. Black Lives Matter originated from the Ferguson protests, which we later found out were the result of a thug who assaulted and attempted to murder a police officer after reaching for the officer's gun. During the initial days of the investigation in Ferguson, President Obama, instead of standing with our policemen and women who are on the front lines every day enforcing our laws, sent his Department of Justice to make allegations of racial discrimination, adding fuel to the fire of racial tensions. Terrorism is defined as the use of violence and intimidation in the pursuit of political aims. At these Black Lives Matter protests on July 7, 2016, Micah Xavier Johnson opened fire and killed 6 officers and wounded 11 more at a Black Lives Matter protest in downtown Dallas, Texas. He was visibly upset at the recent officer-involved shootings in Baton Rouge and Minnesota, and had joined with the Black Lives Matter protests and other militant black nationalist groups. While Black Lives Matter may have initially started out as a group to promote peaceful unification of communities against a seemingly out-of-control police state, it has morphed into a racist, hate-filled ideology whose sole purpose is to flame racial tensions and excuse racism against whites. Black nationalist groups like the Nation of Islam and the Black Panther Party have infiltrated the Black Lives Matter movement. Shortly after these shootings, many Black Lives Matter supporters took to social media and praised the despicable shootings, saying things like, "These effing pigs deserve Dallas," and every incident after Dallas until reform. "Effing disgusting animals," and many others adding fuel to this fire. President Obama never distanced himself from these groups and even invited Black Lives Matter leadership to the White House on several different occasions. Number 4. Obamacare. With a Democratic majority in the House and Senate, Obama pushed for comprehensive health care reform, later dubbed Obamacare. Passed in 2008 under the promises of, if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor, and providing minimum premium savings of $2,500 a year, it has turned out to be a complete and utter failure, breaking both promises and even raising insurance rates for millions of Americans. Obama continues to think that his signature piece of legislation helps everyday Americans and touts record number enrollments. The reality is that Obamacare is a huge burden on the U.S. economy, providing big payouts for insurance companies and their lobbyists. It's amazing what types of enrollment numbers you get when you force insurance companies to drop people's coverage and then threaten fines to the average American taxpayer if they're not enrolled. This is a horrible piece of garbage legislation and is about as un-American as it can get. We'll expand on Obamacare at a later date. Number 3. Doubled our national debt. This is an easy one. The national debt when Obama took office was at just over $10.69 trillion, and in 8 years it rose to over $19.3 trillion. He had 8 years to address the growing amount of debt and interest payments and failed, hence why it is on our list. Number 2. Supports state sponsors of terror. In January 2016, Iran captured the crew of 2 U.S. Navy vessels that were patrolling in the Persian Gulf. After a day, they were released. The same day that they were released from captivity, the United States flew on cargo planes huge pallets of money, $400 million of euros and Swiss francs, being flown to Iran, which is still classified as a state terror sponsor, and banking transactions are illegal. It is also said that the U.S. is now on the hook for another $1.3 billion in interest to Iran. Many, including us, believe that this cash payment was ransom payment for our soldiers, something that Kerry and Obama both deny. Of course they would say that. Why all the secrecy regarding this ransom payment? Does the administration really think we're that stupid? Why send cash? Why be so secret about sending cash, cold, hard bills, on a plane the same day that Iran releases our hostages? Why such a cozy relationship with Iran, after negotiations to allow Iranians to develop their own nuclear materials, especially if they are still listed as a state sponsor of terror? And the number one reason why Obama was a failure as a president: refusing to work with Republicans to get things done. When you rule by executive actions and refuse to work with Congress and the Senate, you open yourself up to having your legacy become destroyed in a matter of weeks. Obama exuded an arrogance about him and a seeming hatred for the political process, including how laws are made and how the country is run. He is quoted as saying, "We're not just going to be waiting for legislation in order to make sure that we're providing Americans the kind of help they need. I've got a pen and I've got a phone, and I can use that pen to sign executive orders and take executive actions." Are you kidding me? Obama, during his tenure, signed 276 executive orders, which is nowhere near the record set by liberal darlings Franklin Delano Roosevelt with 3,522 and Woodrow Wilson at 1,803 executive orders. Now, the wonderful thing about executive orders is that the next president in office, or any other president down the line, can rescind those executive orders. You may force your legacy upon the American people with a sword, but your legacy can just as easily go up in smoke with the stroke of a pen. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more content posted every week. And remember, don't fall for the liberal lies.